Hello, chat, and welcome back to another Titan Talk. I'm Kilgoon, as always, but I am sitting at the computer today because it's Monday.
Yeah.
And Handyman's not here on Mondays.
That's right.
But I have the one, the only, Clumzy. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah. Just
Nice.
it was like a too short weekend that was somehow more tiring than restful for me.
Were you
but
busy?
Just the kids.
Oh,
you know.
yeah, that'll do it.
But yeah. What
I
about you?
was meant to be a little bit busy this weekend with something that was going on, but that got canceled, so I ended up just being able to rest and do like as little as possible. And yet
Nice.
somehow it was still too fast.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. It's something about like yesterday was really rainy here, so
it's
I don't know,
been
maybe
gloomy.
that made it feel shorter. Anyway, also of course joining us today we have Manny.
This is my first time being on this side of the chair with Manny. On my
Oh,
left.
yeah.
I don't think I've actually sat next to Manny before.
Yeah, he's a stoic companion. You
Yeah.
know, he just kind of sits and judges us.
Just us or just chat or both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Ah, fair enough.
He doesn't have his own chat computer. We should get him a chat computer. I think he would like
he
that.
wants to read.
Yeah.
Have him like just leaning downward, staring at chat the entire time.
Sweet. Well, today we have the patch notes to run through real quick.
Yeah,
And then we can just kind of take some questions.
Let's riff.
This is the dead zone of a day before the update since we moved the updates back to Tuesday. So we
rogue
kind of
dead
told
zone?
you, yeah, dead zone rogue. We kind of told you everything that is coming in the patch. So we're just going to recap it real quick for people that weren't here last week. And then we'll just kind of take some questions leading up into the patch tomorrow because there's a lot of exciting stuff in this update.
This is going to be a really big one.
And next update's also pretty big. Let me go to the handy
What,
dandy.
spoiling the neck. What, 21? We haven't even told people about 21.
Well, I'd give them a couple
Okay, a
teasers.
little bit,
Yeah, but that's still going to be a good one.
Okay.
Okay, the handy dandy desktop. And here we are. This is live on the update or on the website
Tomorrow.
now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then the patch is tomorrow.
The patch
right?
is tomorrow. So tomorrow
Okay,
at
ahead of
like
myself.
7 a.m. or so Eastern should be.
Everyone will be sleeping. So, I guess EU might not.
Yeah,
be,
EU
but
won't be,
they'll
but
waiting.
it'll be up by the time most people in America wake up.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon for European folks. Sometimes this doesn't appear on the website automatically, and it takes like an hour or two. So if you put in this URL though, the open-beta-20-update notes, you can follow along with us.
Sweet.
Maybe a mod can link it in chat. And we'll just kind of run through what we have coming in the Broken God of the Afterlife update.
I guess the big question is is it going to be broken?
I think
Is he gonna be
so. I think he's going to be good.
Can
I don't know.
Can I tell them the thing that they found in PTS?
Yeah, go for it.
So Osiris, his aspect has a lot of int scaling. In fact, that's one of the main things about it. Turns out his one never had int scaling in terms of it literally. So we found that out during the PTS and now has int scaling as it should have this entire time. And I'm sure all the balance will be fine. It's not going to be too crazy.
I don't know. I still, this is probably too colored by my personal experiences of playing it versus its objective goodness. I'm not a huge fan of the aspect.
It's tough.
It's so different in play style than the way that he normally plays.
Right.
That my brain cannot get wrapped around it. And every time I play it, I just end up dying repeatedly.
To me, it's almost like the inverse of playing the Apollo aspect of like you get all these free casts of your one, but you have to play a supportive play style,
Yeah.
but also be aggressive. This is almost the opposite where, okay, now you're playing from range a lot, but you've got this third ability that is still close range and not that protective for a mage. Honestly, I think the most success that people are going to find with Osiris are probably going to, or with the aspect, is probably going to be a bruiser style play style. I think you just tried to go mage and full on glass cannon, you probably won't be able to, because you don't even have the survivability of your ulti.
Yeah.
Right? You're not leaping over
There's no
anywhere.
escape.
Yeah.
And there's not even an Ares in the game. Let's actually talk through who Osiris is and what he does. He is the broken god of the afterlife from Egyptian mythology. He is a melee attacker, deals physical damage, and he has strength scaling with protection scaling on some abilities. The passive, every time you lose a fragment of your body. Every time you use an ability, you get 2% damage mitigation for each missing fragment. After you lose 8 fragments, you become a spirit for 6 successful basic attacks, which allows you to walk through enemies and their blockers, so if they've made walls. You also gain attack speed, and your basic attacks ignore movement speed penalty. One of the updates for SMITE 2 here is that if you successfully are landing using abilities while you are in this form, then you get extra stacks of attacks, which is a new +1 that was added. You also start the game at 5 of 8 fragmented. Yes. So that is a bonus there. Sickle Strike, you throw your sickle, it deals damage, and it slows a god. The Spirit Flail, it's an AoE. If you hit somebody, bursts the slow if they have a
it's
sickle in them.
amplified slow, I think.
Yeah. The tether, which makes people deal less damage and stuns them at the end of the duration.
Yes.
There's a +1 that it will now break automatically, and the target will, or excuse me, and the cooldown will reset if people leave the range of the tether.
Yeah, the other thing here that I don't think was in the tooltips actually until I went back in and fixed a couple of them is that it says that there's protection scaling. I believe that the attack speed debuff that this hits on enemies also scales with attack protections as well. So the more protection you go in, the less attack speed enemies will have while they're debuffed with this.
Very cool. And then for his ult, he leaps.
Yeah.
And he deals damage and roots enemies that he lands on. He also applies a negative cooldown reduction.
Yeah,
so,
not a lot of places that have this.
Yeah, so if you use an ability, then it has a longer cooldown while you have been Osiris ulted. And you also cannot heal while you have been Osiris ulted. Does a lot of things. And he gets max stacks. So,
a
strong
whole
ability.
bunch of good stuff.
The Aspect, which will come out on Friday, does a lot of different things.
Yeah, he's
turns him into more of a melee mage, like you said. So he's throwing his one more repeatedly.
Much more frequently.
Because it has no cooldown. It just costs 4 fragments. And you're going to gain those fragments over time and lose them passively on cast and ability god hits. And he
so the main thing about that as well is it's almost a little bit complicated in the sense that, or the phrasing of it is a bit odd, where you're firing out those ones which costs you the which
your fragments are now a resource gauge. Yeah.
Right. So when it says fragments are lost passively, that's actually you gaining charges, and that's the important thing there is you're losing fragments, which is actually you gaining charges of your one. So the main thing to know is that once you use your one, you're using up the charges. When you use your other abilities, you're able to then use your one more often. And it's going to be a lot faster than you think, because outside of the passive one, the passive components of gaining the charges back, whenever you just fire out your 2 or fire out your 3, but specifically talking about the 2, you're going to just gain a charge. But then as soon as you hit, you're going to gain another one, which you might also be able to time up with the passive one, and you might just see like a burst of 3 instantly, which is almost immediately giving you back another fire.
Yep.
So it'll happen quite often.
And then your ult, you don't leap anymore. You just throw out a big explosion.
You just go.
Yeah. Exactly like that. Yeah. We actually recorded Clumzy doing the voiceover.
Yeah. Second time now.
We also have a new aspect. Loki's aspect has been completely reworked to be the aspect of agony. The previous aspect was kind of underperforming, and it didn't really make him a viable supporter solo, which was the goal. So there's a new replacement aspect to fill that niche. The Vanish, no longer stealths.
Yeah, Loki's not stealthing anymore. It's going to be a weird world.
Very odd. And it's attack instead of attach. Typo. Apologies for that. Now inflicts blind instead of bleed.
Yep.
Agonizing Visions can be cast on allies, providing damage mitigation while slowing enemies.
That's his 2.
That's his 2. And Behind You, which is his passive, now deals bonus damage scaling with your health and protections rather than its percentage increase. Yeah, 2 typos in this one. Apologies for that. New Wandering Market Travelers in this update. We have the Misdiagnosis Neath, which has been reimagined, I would say. It's not like a direct port of old busted Misdiagnosis Neaths.
It's a good thing there.
Yeah, it's redone to be a little bit better, I would say.
Definitely feeling better.
And these prisms are pretty cool, too. They take it in a very different direction. There's kind of a spooky zombie one.
The zombie one is so cool, especially for the season.
There's this one's kind of like a...
Is that the black and pink?
Yeah, like leather vampire kind of thing. I don't know. And then there's the Candy Cure prism, which is kind of like candy striped.
Yeah.
And it comes with an awesome new ward skin called Boo
it's
Buddy.
so cute. We have so many cute wards. I love it.
And a pumpkin, which is part of the reaping event. You also will be finding the Sentai Mulan Traveler in this update.
I see Phazin in chat.
Yes, and the Mulan enjoyers rejoice. This comes with the White Blaze prism, the Cosmic Flare prism, and the RGB.exe prism, as well as the Sentai title and a pumpkin, which is part of the reaping event. These pumpkins will allow you to unlock Slaughterhouse Chalk if you get 6 pumpkins. There are 2 pumpkins that are available for free. One of them is through a quest. One of them is on this new Wandering Path that we're going to talk about in a second. And so then if you collect 4 other ones, you will get Slaughterhouse Chalk with these prisms as part of a Traveler. One thing that we did put a note of here is that the Reaping Event UI, the page in the store, is going to go away after this event ends in another patch or 2. But pumpkins will remain in these travelers that they're a part of, and you can keep collecting them, and you will keep getting reaping rewards.
Okay, awesome.
You can look in the loadout screen. If you look at Slaughterhouse Chalk or Spooky Oracle Princess Bari, those will tell you how many pumpkins you have.
Nice.
So there is a way to continue to see that once the UI goes away. The rewards will remain for people that continue to collect pumpkins later. As part of this, you will get the Smiley Time Slaughterhouse, the Infernal Rider Slaughterhouse, the Carnival Carnage Slaughterhouse, and the Gilded Gore Slaughterhouse. There's a whole new reward system in this update, the Wandering Path.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Where your Wandering Market levels now are reflected on a track with a visible level number. Every level continues to grant you Wandering Market coins just like it used to, but there's bonus rewards every 5th level. If you complete the track, you will earn 300 diamonds. There's a bunch of other rewards in there too, including a Reaping Event Pumpkin at level 55. And there's a new free store where you can spend your Wandering Market coins to unlock a bunch of different things. The most interesting, perhaps, is the Market Chest, which you can roll once per day, and it has a chance to roll skins, cosmetics, diamonds, boosters, Ascension Pass tokens, legacy gems, or Wandering Market coins. So you, and if it does roll Wandering Market coins, you're going to get more than the Wandering Market coins you paid to roll it. So
win-win.
It's win-win. You can roll it every day. You have a chance at getting skins. I believe it's almost every skin in the game, probably with the exception of Sagas, but I think everything else is in the game, or is in the Market Chest. There may be one or two I'm missing.
And you've got like the drop chance on the button, so you can see exactly around what you could be getting.
That's right. So you can see exactly what your chances are. This does not roll duplicates, obviously, but it is a weighted chest because of the number of different things that are in it of different value and whatnot. So you will have a chance to get any of these things if you roll every day. And you can also spend your Wandering Market coins on God Unlock tokens if you are a newer player trying to unlock gods more quickly, on Classic Announcer Pack chest, Classic Cutesy chest, Classic Music chest, and the Classic Skin chest.
Nice.
And I do see a question. Is everyone starting this Wandering Path at 0 tomorrow, or do we bring in our current market level? You will start at 0, which is because we're starting a new track tomorrow, essentially.
Right.
A new weekly quest has also been added to SMITE 2, which will give you Wandering Market coins after playing 4, 8, and 16 games each week.
Easy.
And we picked those thresholds because they kind of made sense for the amount of games that people play in a week on average, that they would complete these quests if they play a reasonable amount of time for our player base. So
and
it wasn't just pulled out of a hat, you know. And it's just free extra Wandering Market coins for playing games every week. Also, Cross-Gen Street King Sun Wukong, which if you own it in either SMITE or SMITE 2, you get it in both games if you already own it.
I love this game. This game's really cool.
It's got a great voice pack. I played it today in playtest, and
was that the one where you guys were jerking with the one voice line?
I don't even remember what the voice line was, but it was great. It's a good voice pack. And there is a Pride Badge bundle, which is the 7 Pride badges from SMITE 1 that have been updated and turned into badges for SMITE 2 because they're avatars in SMITE 1. And I believe those are available for like 1 Wandering Market coin or something like that in the store. There's also a bunch of quality life and new player improvements. Number one, the one people really have been looking forward to, the new match lobby will be coming out. There's still a little bit of polish that this needs, but it's getting better every day, and it's
even with the current amount of polish, it's still way better than the one that's in the game right now. Playing in the playtest and going home and playing, it's just like, man, I just want to go back to playtest. It's just so much better.
It feels so much more immersive, right? And it's so nice to see your teammates lock in around you. I think it just looks better. I think it makes the game look more polished. So obviously there's a little bit of work that we still need to do.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But version 1 is going to ship in this update. There may be some further polish coming in future updates. There's also new FX for the Agility Relic. So it doesn't just look like a jump with no extra tell. There's now kind of like a gust of wind, I guess.
Some leaves, I think, is the last time I saw it.
Yeah. Cool. So hopefully that'll make it easier to tell when somebody is using their Agility Relic. There's new FX and audio for the Curios that were using temp FX and audio previously.
There's still a whole bunch of items out there that's using temp stuff that people are just like, you know what? I wouldn't even realize. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I think a couple of those were more obvious.
Maybe. Oh, no, there's definitely some that are ridiculous. When Chuck came in and he saw Scepter of Dominion specifically, he's like, I'm redoing that. And I'm like, okay, go for it. That was just me taking a random... I don't even remember where I found that.
The music system has been reworked, so tracks will no longer play over each other, and specific new logic will determine how long the Titan track plays and what can end the music. In general, it should just be functional music playing. We've also added alternate hit marker sounds for crits, ticks, and wave clear, which should make it more obvious what's happening when you're doing damage. And code for the profile UI has been rewritten for increased performance. So if you go to the profile UI, it shouldn't just freeze for a minute while it loads all of the widgets. Game mode updates. Conquest, Titans. I don't know if we've talked about this before. This might be a new update. Titans are no longer immune to damage from critical strikes, but they do take 50% less bonus damage from crits. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, so this was one of the things where, like, we just heard there's some feedback of it just feels kind of bad that you're building into an item path and you're getting stronger and stronger, but then you go to the Titans and you're just not really getting anything out of it. It just feels kind of bad. This is also something that we're going to be looking at as a little bit of a larger pass coming up, that we're still fine-tuning the details. It's going to be really minuscule for most players, but in the background of just between additive and multiplicative damage increases. So this is kind of just the first path on just getting us there, but now we're going to have to do the item side of it as well. So it's going to be a little bit more nitty-gritty, and I'm not going to go into full details right now because I don't even fully understand them, and we need to make sure that it can work.
Yep.
But for now, it'll just feel a little bit better.
Okay. In Ranked Conquest, we will be bringing simultaneous ranked bans to part of this. Each player can now ban one god simultaneously at the beginning of the match. So up to 10 gods can be banned in a game. Realistically, because you don't know what the other team is banning, there's going to be some duplicates usually. So between 6 and 10 gods will be banned in most games, I would say. And as a result, because up to 10 gods can be banned, you must now own 20 gods to participate in Ranked Conquest.
Makes sense.
Arena and Joust, we have made some pacing changes to reduce the length of matches in these modes. There's a lot of individual nitty-gritty things that go into this that we did not, enumerate all of the changes. But basically the goal should be done in a minute or two sooner for both modes, right?
You're more likely to get, full item build and be able to actually play around with that rather than the game ending before you can even get to, like, your 4th item.
Yep.
And also, like, I'm very curious. Definitely let us know how you feel about this. We can always address and go backwards or maybe even more forwards on some of these things. And also, I know, talking to Pond recently, that there's a discussion on whether we want to pull some of this for Assault as well. So if this goes well, we'll just pull the trigger on, like, some Assault changes that are, again, minor, but help push the game along a little bit faster.
Yep. God balance. We got a lot of balance stuff. Ares, nerf. No escape, no longer cripples. Fenrir, nerf. His lifesteal on his 2 is going down. Hades.
Yeah, that note there is really important. I'm glad we copied it over because, the description always said it was providing 20%, but it never was, and it was still good. So I wanted to make sure people notice that and be like, oh, it went from 20% to 8%? No. It went from 12% to 8%, scaling to 10. Like, it's not a ridiculous nerf as harsh as that.
Hades, fix. His 4 was dealing damage to your frames per second. It was reducing your frame rate.
I mean, yeah, that's a buff.
And we have fixed an issue where it would noticeably decrease your FPS. Hu Yi nerf, dive bomb, decreased range. We were talking about this when we talked. Is it the range that you can move while you're up, or the range that you actually land?
Okay, yeah, it's a leaping range. I mean, obviously, there's a +1 on dive bomb, giving you a lot more maneuverability, and we wanted to kind of make him a tiny bit less safe without directly affecting the new thing that was given to him, because we think that feels good. That being said, I know there's a lot of discussion, honestly, on like a lot of balance changes, but not necessarily here, but just in general about the direction of the way we do some of these changes. This is one where we thought this would be fair first, and there's a lot of times where we want to take tiny steps forwards without having to fully gut something, right? Like sometimes we know kind of what the idea is, or if a character needs nerf, but we don't want to just directly hit things that we know are going to hurt the character in a way that, it would be very hard to recover from. A lot of the times especially with character changes is that it might take a lot more than you think to actually get them into the right spot, especially when it comes to buffing them. So over nerfing is really, really easy, but getting them back to an average state is actually really, really hard.
Reiterating the Loki aspect change here. Nuwa buff. Now, while stealth allies will pass through other characters, this is a Smite 1 parody thing.
Yep, so that'll be there with Nuwa and Morrigan.
Princess Bari getting a little bit of buff. Thoughts on Princess Bari buff?
Yeah, so Princess Bari is exactly what I was talking about, actually, so I'm glad that's there. We did a lot of nerfs after she came out, and we continued to do some, and we needed to do more as her ranked bans were still incredibly high. So while her ban states were high, she was just getting lower and lower on the list. Kind of actually what's happening with Kali right now, actually. Her stats are getting lower and lower, but her ban rate still remains decent. Simultaneous bans is going to be kind of interesting for all of this. But regardless, Princess Bari is just really, really poorly performing across all levels. Like when you see us do characters like Princess Bari or maybe down the road Kali or any of those characters, you might be like, whoa, what? But I'm still seeing her in ranked. Well, again, the ranked player, especially with the high elo, especially for people watching streams or content creators, that's the 1% or the 0.5%. Everyone else that's playing the game is not necessarily even just casual players, even strong high level players. these characters aren't good. Like I would like almost advise not to play them because their win rate is just that low. And we want to balance for everyone and for all game modes and for all control schemes. So it's a bit tough there. We're going to have some disconnects with the community sometimes. But Princess Bari is really low on the stats to the point where like, yeah, she just needed some love.
Sun Wukong's getting a nerf to his passive. I would say this one surprised chat a lot.
Sure.
They were expecting more of a nerf to the int playstyle in particular.
Yes, so this is one of the ones, I think this is a great point of like, okay, people are saying like, hey, Sun Wukong, the int playstyle, I think that's definitely on the list still, but Sun Wukong overall, regardless of int, regardless of the build path, regardless of aspect dot, is overperforming. And what we've seen in the past, in fact, even when putting kind of these numbers out there, when we first brought the part, I'm like, these numbers are probably going to have to come down eventually because free stats is just
pretty good,
so
turns
good.
out.
So this is the first attempt of being, okay, let's hit the free stats first, because free stats is always kind of scary to give. See where that shifts so that the next time we need to nerf them or address them, we can do it with a little bit more delicate rather than just going slam, massive nerf, and let's see what happens from there, right? Like,
Speaking of free stats, I'm going to go off script here.
Sure,
and I'm going to ask.
We have a script?
Scylla.
Yeah.
Scylla support was a major question mark for why we didn't address Scylla in this round of nerfs and buffs, be a nerf for Scylla, when we were talking through the balance on Friday. What are your views on how Scylla's performing? Is Scylla support?
So Scylla supports, it's tough. She's doing quite well. Her perception is also very, very strong, especially when you get to like the people watching Smite Prime, the people watching content creators as well. She's definitely up there. Her ban rate isn't quite that high, but that's fine. It's very specific to be able to play Scylla support. Like, even at the high level, you're probably not seeing that many Scylla supports, but when you do see her, it's like, oh wow, she's actually being quite impactful. But that's kind of what I mean is like you're not seeing her in a lot of games. Like if I go and play casual games for like a week or two at a time, I'm probably seeing maybe one Scylla support. But we're not balancing anecdotally for my playstyle either. I'm just giving that an example of like she's good, she's really good in the right hands.
It's a little bit niche.
It's definitely niche.
Okay.
Does that mean we're not going to nerf her? No, she's actually on my list to nerf for the next patch. But we want to be, again, careful. It's like, we don't want to gut her to the point of irrelevancy. Even like a one bullet point nerf in this case would probably drive like the casual players from ever wanting to try her again. And that's kind of a bummer. Like I don't see Apollo supports anymore with the aspect when we didn't need to do that much post of his change, right? Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of time for people to just see what's out there. Even Ganesha jungle, sure, we did some nerfs, but we didn't do nerfs past the point of people going like, hey, nerf him again, nerf him again, nerf him again. Eventually you just give it another week or two and people go, oh yeah, okay, well that was like the flavor thing, let me go back to something else. Not saying that's the case with Scylla aspect, but we need to be careful to delineate between those two situations.
Back to our regularly scheduled buffs and nerfs. Thanatos, a fix for his ult where it would not trigger passive cooldown reduction or reduction from items like Jotun's Revenge. Tsukiyomi continuing to be nerfed, and we will continue to nerf him until
he might need some more.
The Morrigan is getting a buff. These are both parity issues with Smite 1 where her 1 was resetting her attack chain and no longer is, so you can now prep up your powerful shot and then 1.
These are both going to be buffs, but also outside of the nerfs we gave the aspect in Morgan general, she is listed an eternal, like, I'm going to be performing pretty poorly because her skill ceiling and skill floor is so high. And you're going to have some characters like that. Unfortunately, Mytheria, who's in chat right now, is one of those people who are caught, like, again, it's a compliment to people who are out there who are one-tricking so hard that they are personally responsible for getting some characters nerfed, and that's okay. But also shout out to Mytheria because these were parity misses, and he reached out, and I was able to get these in without much hassle. They're going to be buffs. I'm expecting to see Morgan's stocks to rise, but I don't think that they'll be to the point where we need to nerf her again. If we do, it'll again be Mytheria's fault.
And Shibalanke, very strong, especially with the aspect on.
Yeah.
And we are nerfing a decent amount.
Yeah, a lot of things across the board. It's not going to be just for the aspect. Obviously, you've seen some in stuff. You've seen some strength stuff. Are we going to need to nerf him some more? Possibly, but he's actually just doing well on his non-inside, just as he is on his inside. So I just want it to be a bit, hit everything a little bit, kind of readdress from there. Even now, we're starting to see people say like, the 2 ulti 2 with the Mirrodin is like slightly Mickey. It's slightly kind of just memey. Is he still even good? Maybe. I think obviously you get those clip moments of like, okay, yeah, when that happens, it's pretty nuts. But when it doesn't happen, what is he doing? We're still seeing a little bit of that. So are we going to need some more nerfs past this? Maybe. It might even be for the strength-based build because that continues to do well. But let's see how this goes first.
And then item balance, Lermian Bow is going to deal less damage with more cooldown. Pendulum Blade is going to cost more gold. Polynomicon is going to have reduced intelligence scaling and more cost. Rip Talon is going to have decreased attack speed and more cost. Sanguine Lash will no longer get lifesteal from its passive and active damage, so it won't stack itself, which was the really annoying bit. Vital Amplifier, Rip. Very upset about this one, by the way. I don't know if I told you.
No, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
my Kerninos jungle.
Oh, fair. It was going to be worse than that. Like the thing, the nerf we had planned is okay. Let's hit it a little bit. I mean, it's 2.5 per stack, so it
adds up. So Vital Amplifier is getting nerfed. And then in general, a lot of recipes were updated. So items you are more likely to want appear first on the left side of the tree, making quick purchases easier. So if you right click, it's going to buy that thing.
I know if you go back to the top of the items, I kind of snuck in a couple of these during the Titan talk. Learning Bow, Pendulum Blade, Polynomicon came in a little bit late. They weren't in the initial Titan talk discussion. I was just talking to the ambassadors a little bit more about talking about what items are really big pain points in the high level community, especially in Smite Prime and in high level ranked and stuff like that. And we went back and forth on a couple of different ways to nerf some of these, and I wanted to specifically point out Pendulum Blade because I know there's a lot of, for those who know that Pendulum Blade is good, and for the record, all these 3 items are just good.
Okay.
They're not overperforming to the sense where they needed to be gutted or anything like that. They are performing better and better the higher your experience goes in the game, which makes them tough nerfs because if an item is average for everyone and only good for high level players, as soon as you hit them a little bit, they immediately start dropping popularity, start dropping in pick rate, and then eventually one day you'll have to probably pick them up again in terms of buffing. Pendulum Blade specifically, I think all of these kind of make sense, but the one that again, Pendulum Blade specifically, what we could have done is nerf the active, right? A lot of people are like, okay, well, just go from 4 to 3 and we're calling it a day. But one thing that we wanted to make sure of is that when it comes to these active items or even passive effects, we want to keep the uniqueness, the excitement there. It could have been fair and balanced to nerf the active, but that doesn't mean it's an interesting item anymore. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So regardless of that, we wanted to make sure that the price increase makes it a little bit more restrictive. Okay, it's like if the active effect is good, keep the active effect good, but then make its worth more relevant to the price cost.
Cool. One more item question just for me from a point of, I feel like Oathsworn is like maybe the best item in the game.
It probably is. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious if
I think
like the data pans out because
I think it is like
it is
top 6 items. It's one where I think obviously there's going to be this disconnect between, and I don't want to bring it up too often, between like high level invested players, because there's a lot of people in the Titan Talk. So if you're here at the Titan Talk, you are an invested level player, because it's not always talking about high level players versus casual players. I'm also talking about like the invested people who are here watching streams, engaging the community, watching Smite Prime, playing games every day, versus the average Joe who which is probably going to be the majority of our players who aren't listening to Titan Talks, who just want to go home and play games with their friends. Everyone here probably knows Oathsworn is quite good. Does everyone else? Not really, and that's probably because its popularity is high. Like, it's still so good that people know it now. But one of the issues is just like the pen argument, right? It's just like, okay, when do I get power? When do I get percent pen? When do I get like all these things online? And Oathsworn kind of fills in that gap of like, it says it gives negative, some shred, but I could also just get Executioner, or when do I get Titan's Bane, right? It's in that perfect trifecta of kind of confusion, but it probably is just the right call to get.
Yeah, it's pretty much my first item most of the time. I'm just like, it's so
still
good.
Really good.
Speaking of Smite Prime, there was some Smite Prime this weekend.
There was.
And I'm going to, very quickly, I'm going to show... Solar Patrol got a Quadra. So
that's right.
And we posted the clip to our YouTube. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick,
just
so people can very quickly see this. If I go this, and then I think I have to do unmute laptop.
I was watching this on the side, and then I heard the Quadra homicide, and I'm like, I need to go check this out.
All right, let me see if chat hears it.
Looks like that's going to be another dead body. Crow using combat dodge to try and find his way out of there, but the bee is forced out. Wait a minute, Fino's dead. Great fear, no evil, and Crow will find the kill. Sot finds Crow, though. One body down on each side. Away goes Mario Bro. He doesn't want to fight this, but great ult from Sam. Great ult from Sam will find Mario Bro, but X-Ball's here. A lot of damage being thrown out on both sides. Shutdown found for Chang'e. Down goes running around, and Sot's still trying to find the chase, though. Chang'e can't find anywhere to go. That's a quadra kill for Sot. A quadra kill for Sot. 4 dead bodies lie in solo lane, and Sot is the killer. That's a quadra homicide. Yeah, it looks like
Quadra homicide. Anyway, I just thought it was a fun moment. If you were watching this weekend, it's arguably better in the widescreen version, but it's what I had available easily to show.
I didn't even realize my decoy got the 4th one. Isn't that what's so fun and so upsetting for people on the receiving end? That happened to a playtest earlier. I was versing someone in the solo lane, and he was playing Osiris, and he got away just a little bit. It was such an intense fight that my clone was like tanking tower, and before that last tower shot killed him, I threw out my one, and he threw out the one, and it killed the guy. I'm like, yes, and he was like, no.
Awesome. Well, we've talked a lot about stuff coming tomorrow.
Yes.
Make sure you log in tomorrow and play. You know, we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And I guess we can spend the second half of the show just taking questions. So,
yeah, let's chat.
This is probably your one clumsy show of the week. So if you
I budgeted Kilgore to one a week while things get busy. And
we got a lot of stuff going on right
Mm-hmm.
now. So, but this is probably your one clumsy show of the week. So if you have design questions in particular, I think that this is probably a good day for design questions.
Yeah.
We'll obviously answer everything that we can get through.
And I'm gonna just tell you guys no, unless it's SMITE cart related.
Yeah.
I will buff your favorite character as long as you have a cart ward. How did the cart traveler do, by the way?
It did pretty well, I would say.
You're allowed to like.
No,
be
it did
truthful
fairly
to
well.
me.
It was less expensive than other travelers,
Right,
And
so
a lot of people, I think, picked it up because they wanted a pumpkin, they wanted
Right.
you know. So it did well.
Nice.
I think we were pretty happy with it.
Excellent. That's step 0 and step 1 to the cart supremacy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're getting there. Who knows what's next? All right. Anyways, I bought a SMITE cart traveler for those Mori changes. You did tell me that. We had like a little bargain there. Fix the character, buy SMITE cart.
Let's see.
You designed Nox out of the game. She's not even designed into the game yet.
Where I had one. How do you feel about lifesteal items right now?
Oof, that's a tough one. I think we're still feeling out how healing and lifestealing work as a whole, right? I think the community is kind of like, you know, feeling their way into it. I still hear some discussions on, okay, you know, I miss my anti-heal item. I'm playing against an Anubis that's built full lifesteal. What am I meant to do? I think what's missing right now a little bit is some more counter healing options. We have Brawler's Beatstick, which is kind of there, but I think it only provides like physical prod as well. I think there's still room for more, hey, if someone else is healed, or in a clever way, because we don't want them to just be like stat sticks, but if someone has done something on the other team to gain healing or gain life stealing, what is something that isn't just reduce that amount, but something that I can do instead? Like maybe, you know, so I think those are what's missing right now for that discussion. As for if there's any specific spots, like Sanguine Lash, obviously we nerfed its lifesteal. Are there other places that might be targeted spots where healing needs to come down, whether on items or gods? Possibly, but we're at the stage where it's no longer feels oppressive for a singular character or for a singular item. Now it's the combination of things together.
Are there any design holes that you see in terms of god kits or designs? And what's your method for addressing it that isn't porting one god to fix it? It's a very open-ended question.
Yeah, there's so many things there. Are there design holes? I guess question number 1 comes like, are there things from SMITE 1 to SMITE 2 that are just missing? I feel like we've brought a lot of the different types of characters and archetypes where I don't feel nearly like, oh, you know, like there was a time in SMITE 2, because I mean, there's been so many changes. Like, I don't have like an ability hunter, or I don't have, right? Like what do I even want in this build or in this comp anymore? Like, we don't even have that many healers or whatever.
Yeah,
it may be.
I think that you can fill most gaps. I would say that, like, just from my personal perspective, I think there's maybe a couple of the different starter upgrades that like enabled slightly different play styles in SMITE 1.
I don't want mannequins back.
No, I'm not. I'm
because Basic Tech Wars was one of the ones that I was thinking. It's like, hey, well, with Bologna coming in,
I was thinking like Axe of Animosity in particular.
Axe of Animosity, sure, fair enough.
You know, but I think
Mannequin Sylvanas is going to be a discussion point at some point.
Sure.
Look, and I'm not saying we're not going to do it, because sometimes when I say things like, I don't want it to the game kind of magnanimously, everyone's like, Clumzy says he's never going to bring it. It's like, no, I don't actually mean that.
Yeah, like, one of the things about this show is that, like, we're allowed to be ourselves and have our own personal opinions. I have my bad takes all the time, right? Like, you know, you're allowed to, like, speak of your personal opinion, you know, not necessarily this is exactly what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. Like, Mannequins was incredibly hard to balance in SMITE 1. It was always either over-tuned and made basic attack warriors the meta, or bad because we just got off that meta and people kept telling us to nerf it. Is there a healthier version of it that could exist? Maybe. But anyways. Someone had a good question. I've just lost it. I'll find it.
Kilgoon never has a bad opinion. That is so wrong. I'm glad that your view of the world agrees with mine, but I definitely have bad opinions.
I think it was something along the lines of, why didn't we keep Loki aspect and then use this as an opportunity to create a second one? we have talked about in the past that we're open to the opportunity of creating characters with multiple aspects, but and you know, there's a world where that could have existed. It wasn't this one because in this case you were wrong, but no, and that's because the current Loki aspects that's still in the game just wasn't ever going to be a point where we found it to be balanceable, right? It was never going to be fun for everyone. It wasn't one we wanted to keep in the game, frankly speaking. We actually did do the version of Loki aspect that we see that we're going to have in the patch is actually a rework, like is another attempt, and the one right before that we actually had in playtest was more tweaks towards the current one that existed, and it just didn't feel
work.
Good.
Yeah,
it's like, is it salvageable? Maybe, sure, but it's never going to be the point where it's salvageable and healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, could we have it there and be a niche aspect?
It was
some
either
people buy?
it's
Maybe.
it's kind of like it's either like
pick.
so strong that it's annoying,
Yeah.
or it's so weak that you don't pick it. Right?
Right.
It's just it's the line of balance on some things is not fun. I guess I would say
for
right?
sure. It's tough. We also, I mean, it was an experiment going in. I mean, I would design the original Loki aspect because I thought like selfie your teammates could be fun, and we didn't want everything to just be like, especially at the time, the first, and because I get this question or I see this kind of commentary a lot. The first 20 aspects were just me kind of like cooking in a corner, going like, let's see what we can do. What can we do here? And can we get like the number higher? And like, let's just make like designing out the foundation of aspects to see if they could exist. Loki was one that needed rework. There's several others that are probably going to be out there that need to be either like buffed up or changed completely. That's going to happen. As you can see, as aspects have continue to exist and we've had more design time on them, they continue to be kind of, you know, crazier. Are they too crazy sometimes? Maybe. Is there going to be a crazy aspect coming out eventually that we can spoil pretty soon? Probably. But yeah, so there's going to be an amount. And Loki just didn't fit. Loki's current one and the one that's being reworked just didn't fit the correct mold.
Mm-hmm. Was it intentional to change Loki Blind to be a Xbalanque Darkness Dome?
With
the aspect, it is. It's currently working like that.
Without the aspect, it's still a. So when we ported over Loki from 1 to 2, we turned it into a dome.
Okay.
Day 1 SMITE 2 Loki, his blind was a dome instead of the post-process effect. That was intentional. As for why, I wasn't actually on the team at the time, so I can't properly comment that, but that was intentional.
Okay.
We had post-process effects, so I think even when we did the blind before, because it was never really like a full blind. We didn't completely cover your screen. Yeah, it was just kind of like funnily enough, it was like Smite Cart's item where it was like the squid ink, right? Like that was you know, pulling in a Smite Cart reference quite literally here. That actually makes sense for it.
What do you think on Vision Shard Curio in Joust? This commenter believes it creates too much vision for the small map.
Sure.
What about enabling meditation or the arena curio instead? Those feel like maybe not the best fits for Joust to me personally.
Yeah.
But I think like the core question of, is there too much vision with the curios?
Honestly, we were testing some Joust. I mean, we test all the different game modes all the time. And I kind of felt the same way. I was like, okay, I'm just going to constantly have like the Green Knight, the whatever he's called, like warded like all the time. Why not? Or the Bush that's kind of in the middle warded all the time. Why not? And we have 2 other people with their own wards. I don't disagree. I'm actually kind of curious from like the Joust community themselves if they feel like there's a certain amount of warding that is healthy. Like we could just increase the cooldown or decrease the Vision Shard radius or something like that. Maybe there's a balance point for it for Joust if they like the idea, because you know Joust still has a lot of skillful components. It may not be conquest with 3 lanes, but you still do want to buy wards.
Completely.
And maybe this helps there. Or would it just be more fun to have a completely different curio instead? And I think that's fair, but that would probably take a little bit more time, obviously. So it's kind of like, do we want to do something in the interim? Do we want to do anything at all? Or do we want to completely pivot? We could. Let us know.
Can you buff Mage ADC items? Because Mage ADCs build strength only because of them being hybrid scaling.
Yes, that is a conundrum. I'm not going to pretend it's not. I think when we first moved over to Smite 2, there was less crit items, and you had some certain items like Brace of the Abyss and stuff like that that felt a little bit better. I mean, even looking at the stats, I can guarantee you there's going to be a death metal buff, which isn't quite the same archetype, but like it is. I think death metal is literally the worst item in the game right now, which is surprising.
That's surprising.
Usually, like again, it's a little bit, it's an active item, so obviously you've got to pop it, but also usually free stats for a team is always really
always good
regardless. But yeah, it is actually the worst item in the game. So I think there's still an area for death metal and items like that to exist and just be better. Do we need to do a little bit more for attack speed, for in-hand mages to exist? Probably. I think that's going to be a little bit more of an arc of work, because I agree that with while we have the hybrid scaling, it's kind of almost making it seem like, you know, why ever go mage in hand? It's causing you to already kind of specialize in being a hybrid ability damage dealer because you're going int as well. So we do need to play around with that a little bit. But that being said, it's still a better world to live in now, where you can have mage ADCs opt into a strength like item playstyle, and that is still really interesting. So we will need to make sure that there's enough of a difference between the two paths that it makes sense, rather than just being the same thing. Like, I don't think we're going to just add like magical in space items with like attack speed and crit just for the sake of it.
Any chance to make Smite Vampiric Shroud also for strength? So I think we can maybe just turn this into like Vampiric Shroud in general conversation point. Because I guess the question is basically like, does it make sense for there to be more of a lifesteal focused starter for strength players? I guess that,
it's so funny because that's like terrifying right now, because there's a lot of people in the community. I mean, we just nerfed Sanguine Lash and its healing component, and there's a lot of people who are like, oh, now that the lifesteal is lower, I can no longer go this ridiculous like soul lane healing Umbral Link build that is just quote unquote OP. And then or people saying like that is the only reason why soul laners are even good right now. So now I'm hearing like, let's just make that better. Like, give us another. Yeah, okay. So we have to take those two things aside. One, we're living in a world where that archetype is really, really strong and getting weaker, especially with Sanguine Lash being changed. Versus two, why doesn't X item have a counterpart, right? Like, why doesn't Staff of Mirrodin have a strength version? Why doesn't X item? And,
it's more interesting when you have to kind of make some decisions and it's not everybody's playing exactly the same items.
Like, at that point, why isn't every item just a hybrid item, right? Obviously, there's a little bit more nuance than just that. Could there be an early game lifesteal focused item that's more catered towards tankier characters? Yeah, potentially. Could you also just go a lifesteal item and then a very highly protective item? Possibly. That's kind of like the argument we have sometimes as well, where people be like, okay, well, why don't we have... I'm just going to make this off. Let's say a strength and lifesteal item.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't that combination exist? Like, well, you could just go a strength item and then a lifesteal item, and then that combination would exist. But that argument is still, even for myself, sounds a bit silly at times. We can create opportunities. We just want to make sure that we're doing them in a fun way that isn't just copy and paste.
Can I tell you my issue with Vampiric Shroud?
Sure.
It does not restore enough mana.
Sure.
It is lower than the amount of mana it restores in Smite 1.
Yeah.
And mana is less of an issue in Smite 2. But for the gods that care about it,
exactly.
It's annoying. Because
isn't that wild?
I feel like, because like I played a lot of, this is just, again, my personal
No,
opinion,
I think
which
it's
maybe,
fair.
And because like I played a lot of Kabrakan solo in Smite 1.
Yeah.
And Vampiric Shroud plus rank your tremors.
Right.
If you rank your tremors, you're very quickly just going to run yourself out of mana in Smite 2. So you kind of have to leave it at like maybe rank 2, and then you have to rank your...
Oh, we've talked about it. Tectonic Shift is the LT. The Seismic Slam. No, is that the one? I don't know. Whichever one. I was close enough. Tectonic Shift is the LT. Seismic
Crush
Slam.
something? I don't know.
I was close. I got like a few of them. So it might not be the right one. But so isn't that interesting? And we've talked about this on the show. Refraction Shield.
Thank you.
What a silly name. We've talked about this on the show as a flaw that is something that we want to shore up and fix. Of just like, mana isn't important until it is. And then it's like, oh my God, I need so much more mana than I would have thought. And that's there for certain characters. That's there because starter items may be shoring that up. Obviously, we're in an MP1 system instead of an MP5 system. But so that's I'm using that as a discussion point of like, yes, we still need to go back and look at mana. That is a holistic approach to the game that we definitely want to address. And we're not going to just delete mana as was, discussed about in the community before. But going back to Vampiric Shroud, I mean, like, if it just needs a mana buff, just remind me after show. I'll give it a mana buff. You got this. That's what's for you.
Yeah, thank you. I am being trolled by a chat for ranking tremors, but it's
sometimes it's just fun.
It's a good wave clear. It hits the whole wave. It does good stuff. Anyway, any news on the next ranked reset? I believe that's penciled in for 21 right now.
Oh yeah, right.
But I'm not 100% sure.
I'm gonna walk in today and ask you guys about that, but I know I helped with you, Blake and Hindu, but I just don't remember.
Hindu's kind of running point on that right now, and he's not in on Mondays and Tuesdays. So
right.
We can check in with him on Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure OB21 is when that's penciled in for.
Gotcha.
I was looking away, and now there are long sentences to try to read while chat is moving.
Yeah, I remember seeing that commentary as well, and I like pointing those things out because I think it's it's fair to talk about them sometimes. Of like, hey, you guys sometimes just go into the Titan Talks and just pick and choose what questions to ask. Well, that's not really the case at all. Sometimes it just comes down to like, okay, have we seen this question a lot? Have we answered prior? Like maybe someone came in a little bit late. Is this actually going to be a really nuanced question? Do we even have the answer right now? Like even for like Kilgoon talk about the soft reset, we don't have the answer right now. Sometimes we're going to say we don't have the answer. Sometimes we're just going to ignore the question because we don't have the answer. And there's a whole bunch of questions.
If I get a classic skin through a chest or buy direct buy, can I get a discount on its respective travelers? Not at this time. That's not the way the travelers are set up. And the travelers are priced in a way that it's meant to be you are paying for the prisms for classic skin travelers. So that's about what we would charge you for the prisms by themselves. It's not that... that's why the classic skin is kind of just like a free inclusion if you buy it and you didn't previously own it.
Right.
So that's not currently something that we intend to do.
I really like this question from Mutaba. Can Loki passive work for all blinds for cool synergies? See, that's really tough. That's tough because as an idea, if you take in a vacuum, I love it. It's cool. I love synergies. I think stuff like that are awesome. However, anytime we've ever attempted stuff like that in the past, or just the idea, like now taken out of a vacuum, the fact that Loki might now need to have balance based on the other characters that are in the game, while that sounds cool on paper, actually is a nightmare in practice. It means that like, okay, maybe Loki's completely average, but now you put Loki with Raw or with someone else that blinds, and like now he's OP. And it's like, okay, well, what do you do? Would you nerf Loki? Do you nerf it ends up always being more harm than good. It's intriguing and it's interesting and it tickles my design brain and like theory crafting, but it almost always ends up in those characters having to just become weaker, which is kind of a bummer. So probably not.
If as Achilles, if you execute a Sun Wukong clone, you can ult again.
Yeah, there's still a list. Okay, so that's just the fact. I literally have a list right now on my computer of just like god decoy issues, and that just comes down to like some blueprint stuff that will just need to be fixed. I kind of with Sun Wukong and Danza clones, there's still a lot. I think Medusa passive or ulti maybe. Anytime you see stuff like that, just feel free to shout it out. I'll add it onto the list and try and remember.
I like it. I think that Achilles is just. He's the kind of guy that just gets excited when he kills anything. And he's like, yeah, I killed it. Like, it wasn't real. I don't care, dude. I killed it. Let's keep going. Like, I don't know.
And that's, no, for sure. And to be fair, execute, maybe. Like, I'm split on that one. Maybe, because I think I don't know if it would stop on Danza clones or not, but I think there are really interesting cases where the god decoys should actively work like gods. Like, I think Neath ulti will target a decoy, right? Like, that was a Smite 1 thing, that's a Smite 2 thing. And it just becomes a question of, like, it's consistency versus not. Well, we're already technically inconsistent, but there are definitely broken cases where if you got, like, Necronomicon stacks off of god decoys, that would just be OP, right? So you almost just need this caveat, and then it becomes hidden knowledge. But these kinds of games will always have some level of that too.
I see an in-game item store bug of setting your cursor on an item and then leaving and coming back, and it's moved. That's not something that should be happening. If you can tell us your platform, I can try and take a look at that. And what kind of store you are on, if you're on the split store or the centered store. Can you let us toggle aspect on and off in match lobby before actually locking in a god? That's not something that you're going to be able to do in the new lobby. I can understand maybe you would want to do it so that your teammates could see what you were hovering before you locked in. Like, oh, I'm hovering this, so my teammates should know that I'm thinking I'm going to play tank.
Yeah.
But
you've already got the role that says, but I guess you don't always have.
Yeah,
that's tough.
So it's just a little bit. I don't think the flow makes as much sense for players. I can understand why for maybe at a high level you would want that to be able to communicate, but not currently something that we're considering.
Everyone's talking about the Hades 2 club. I actually spent.
It would have been great.
Yeah, I spent this weekend playing a lot of Hades 2. I've been really, really enjoying it. Actually, I played Hades 1. I didn't play it as much as I could. It's weird because you beat the boss, and the whole point of Hades 1 and 2, this is not a spoiler, is keep playing the game. Like, that is the point. You
Yeah.
get more modifiers and stuff like that. And for Hades 1, I kind of just resisted. It's like, I don't want to keep beating the boss. Like, that, for some reason, that just didn't click for me. I didn't like it. For Hades 2, I'm really, now that I understand that, I'm enjoying it.
With roguelikes in general, I get to the point where I'm like, I understand the loop. I'm
right.
done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'm on the treadmill. I can see the treadmill now.
Yeah, and I got to that point in Hades 1, and I really enjoyed the game up until then.
Yeah.
But then I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm moving on. Right. And I kind of have the same feeling with
Right.
most roguelikes, but
Hades 2, I think the one of the most phenomenal things about it actually is their progression system. It is, I think I'm like at least a dozen hours in, and every run they're still like, hey, here's now the new unlock to show you the new thing, and now you want to play with the new thing. It's like, oh, okay, piece of candy, and you go to the next one. It's like, oh, okay, now there's another thing. It's like they just so long in, I can still see that I quote unquote haven't beaten the game. There's just so much stuff to do.
hot take, Bastion and Transistor
Fantastic games.
are better than the Hades games.
Okay, so my hottest take is I love Supergiant. I love that.
Yeah,
studio.
great studio, amazing.
Bastion is probably one of my top 10 games or something like that.
It's incredible.
Transistor, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I was sad when I heard that they were working on Hades 2 because
You
I
wanna
wanted
see what
to
they did
see
next.
what they can do
Yeah.
next. I love that studio and I love everything they do, and I want to see.
Did you
the
like
next
Pyre?
thing.
Did you play Pyre? Pyre was a little weird.
Pyre was one I didn't play.
It was a little
but
weird.
It was a little bit weird.
It was
I
interesting.
want to see more.
Back to SMITE questions, because I got yelled at that I spend too much time
I
answering
saw
non-SMITE
that, but
questions.
that's we have 3 of these a week, and we've been doing them forever. Let us yap.
Wandering Path rewards. I don't have the client updated. You can take a look tomorrow in live, but it's a lot of you're getting free chest rolls, and then you're getting coins that you can spend on things in the shop.
Yeah, so I see the commentary on thoughts on reducing the cooldown from the assault-based teleporters. We talked about the arena and joust changes that are coming up. And one of the bullet points was, if people are feeling pretty good about that and we were good with doing assaults, I know the teleporter cooldown removal or reduction was one of the bullet points that Pon wanted to attempt to do. So if we're cool with that, that can be on the list.
Mm-hmm. I like the recurring questions of who's going to win the World Series. I don't know, man. I feel like it's hard to bet against the Dodgers in any year.
I don't know
as much
sport,
as I don't
so.
like the Dodgers, but here we are.
You say Dodgers, and I just think about dodgeball. Dip, dive, dodge, dive.
Let's see. Thoughts on Fail Not?
Fail Not was a fun item. I enjoyed it. I thought it was silly and fun. It's kind of one of those things that we're talking about, like with the Loki thing, a little bit of, or death metal, where it requires your teammates to do stuff for the item as a whole to fulfill its potential, because it's applying that crit marker on people. The idea, I think I helped work on that one. It's my one, because the idea of it's death metal too, right? The idea of your friends critting actually is just really funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so much fun to watch. Like, it was like, in SMITE 1, that was one of the ways of sitting Ymir Bonk back, of just seeing that happen. Could it still exist in SMITE 2? Sure. I mean, we don't really utilize the LT trigger, so obviously the active trigger could be a thing. Is it then as exciting and or as fun? Maybe. Honestly, Fail Not and Death Metal actually serve a very, very similar purpose. That I'm not sure if it'd be. I think you need to play around with things a little more to get it to be like there.
I saw you comment with the ambassadors about Necronomicon.
Yes.
What do you? Somebody in chat mentioned Necronomicon.
Yeah, that's because Snatty had that video on Necronomicon, and a lot of
I watched a couple of his videos over the weekend. Actually, good videos.
Yeah, good videos. So I was having a look at it. There was a takeaway because I had a look at it this morning actually, because I was talking, like you said, talking to the ambassadors about it. Necronomicon is, it's a kiss curse item. We didn't do a lot of those in SMITE 1, or we took them out because their balance is honestly kind of a nightmare. It's like we were talking about that a little bit earlier with some other things. Necronomicon as kiss curse items, when they're fully statted out, can never be overpowered, because then everyone will just end up buying them whether they're traps or not. That just ends up always being the case. And then there's the idea of whether the current implementation's protections shred removal is too much. Maybe just right now, the world we live in, because we haven't balanced it in a while, Necronomicon might just not be efficient enough. That is plausible. I don't think we would buff it by adding penetration to it, because I think that adds just another level of problem to it. Could we buff it by adding another stat? Maybe. But then it's also just the point of, like, do we want to do the Reaper level of Kiss Curse, where, like, it doesn't just feel nearly as bad, but it's kind of a little bit more positive than it is negative. I think there's some room for Necronomicon to be shifted or even just buffed a little bit. Will it ever get to the... it should never be the point where every game you go, I'm going to buy Necronomicon, right? Like, that is just not the right choice. There should always be items that are situational. There should always be items that are niche. I think that's what makes MOBAs exciting, is if, like, you don't just go like, oh, I'm just going to, you know, dartboard and choose an item that says intelligence on it and I'm winning, right? You need to make active choices. Maybe Necronomicon's under the point of balance. I think that's fair. I put out some questions to the ambassadors, and I'm also, you know, curious for the community as a whole. Would we just want to, you know, buff it slightly? Would we want to shift it completely? Or would you just want something small, like, you know, like the Reaper kind of level of change? I think there's a lot of different routes we could go, but I don't think we'd want to kind of rework it entirely.
I saw this one post that has been made a couple times, and I don't know if I can't find it right now. It was basically somebody was saying, chat is... it's always hard to find the question when I'm about to talk about it. But it was saying that basically, like, this person hasn't been enjoying the game since the healing changes. You know, should they keep trying or recognize the game isn't for me anymore? I would say, I personally don't feel like the healing changes are so substantial that they should make the game not be for you in and of themselves.
Right.
I would say that at times in the past, speaking just as me personally, if I'm like that over a meta, maybe sometimes I just need to take like a break and go play something else and then come back. And I'm never advocating for somebody to leave the game. I'm never advocating for us to put the game into a state of balance that people don't enjoy. But I think that by and large, the reception to the healing change has been pretty positive. And I would say it doesn't seem like a fundamental enough change that you should be struggling to play the game following it.
Right.
If you feel like, and that hasn't been the feedback that we've gotten from people. So I would say if you feel that way, it might just be you're at the time in your life where I need to go play something else for a week or two or a month or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to enjoy the game with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Because I think that's happened to me in every competitive game I've played where I just get upset with the meta, and it's usually it's not actually the meta I'm upset with. It's just, I just need to do something else.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. There's some level of burnout there, especially with, like, you know, coming from SMITE 1 to SMITE 2. We have a decade long of like SMITE feelings and experiences that we're going through. And so, I mean, I fully agree that this is a kind of like a timeline or a meta-like thing. Sometimes it's just, I hate to say this, but it's almost like a level of being like unlucky. So maybe like I don't, you know, again, completely anecdotally, but also using this as an example of like the lot of people that I talk to. I don't run into like heavy, intense healing characters and stuff like that. Again, it depends on what game mode we're talking about, because you might be talking about Conquest or you might be talking about Arena, or you might be talking about Assault, obviously. But at least for Conquest, I'm not running into like, okay, 5 games in a row I'm running into healer comps. Maybe it's 1 out of 8 or 10 right now. But maybe, I'm not saying you didn't, right? You might have hit an unlucky spree of like 3 or 4 in a row and be like, damn, what is going on with the game?
Yeah.
Similarly, I've had people in my Discord going like, hey, I experience X thing every game. And I go, every game? But for them, it might be
feels like it.
It might feel like it, or it might be just, you know, more often than I am, purely due to RNG or time of day or whatever it may be. But like as Kilgun was saying, you know, take a small break, do what you need to do, but at least objectively speaking, currently, it does seem like the healing changes has definitely procured more positivity than negativity. And then, like we said earlier, there's still some opportunities for us on the dev team to kind of bounce around, like, you know, like I said, Brawler's Beatstick and counter healing than there is necessarily changing the healing system at all completely.
If you're adamantly against adding a ranked joust queue, can we consider adding bans? There's some gods getting very powerful in joust mode. So
Adding,
I guess that what you're saying then is just do like a simultaneous ban phase at the start, and then people play normally.
crazy, do we not have bans in ranked joust?
There is no ranked joust.
Oh no, of course. Sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
Yeah.
My brain.
Yes. So
Duel?
I mean, I would say that
What was I thinking of?
theoretically, yeah, Duel does have bans.
There we go.
That's
I was
probably what you're
thinking about
of.
Duel. Okay.
I would say theoretically it's something we could consider. I think that then if you do that, then the question is like, should we also have bans in Casual Conquest?
Yeah.
And then what's the difference between Casual Conquest and Ranked Conquest other than pick order?
Yeah.
And it, you know, I will say like a lot of people play casuals because they want to be able to play the gods that they want to play.
Yeah.
I understand that if you were coming from a ranked mindset, you might not like playing against certain gods. I think it is an interesting question that would require further thought than we can get to in the few minutes we have left here.
That's a lot.
But I think it's a fair idea. Who came up with the name Titan Talk? I believe Harrison came up with that.
Oh,
name.
yeah? Very cool.
My follow-up to this would be add Rank Joust or elaborate why you won't. Rank Joust was incredibly unpopular in Smite 1. I have seen comments about people upset that we say that Slash was unpopular in Smite 1. Rank Joust makes Slash looks popular. Like Rank Joust was
oh my god,
was very unpopular.
Yeah.
And technically setting up Ranked Joust as a queue for Smite 2 would not be particularly challenging. But there's not, it would be a very small player base and it would not lead to good matches because there were not good matches in Smite 1 Ranked Joust most of the time, unless you're playing at peak hours.
And then you get people going, why is the Ranked Joust like MMR? Like my play experience is terrible or whatever it may be. And my queues are so long. It's like, yeah, well, what are you trying to play for Ranked Joust? Yeah, like that's almost like it's on us for it even existing. Like that's our bad for giving you the ability to have really a terrible experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we keep hearing feedback that people wish there was Rank Joust.
Yeah, and Domination and Siege and all these game modes that had 10 people playing it. I'm being a little bit more on the nose than...
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think that, like, it's fair feedback that people miss it.
Yes,
I think that the feedback of, like, hey, is there a way that we can give more of that kind of experience in the normal Joust queue for people that want it is a fair question to be asking.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I think introducing a second queue that is likely to be extremely unpopular... probably not a thing that we would do.
Right.
At least not as a 24/7 queue, right? I mean, like maybe there's a world where it's like Friday and Saturday nights there's a Ranked Joust queue or something, but like
I can see
that's that's a little bit more difficult for us to do.
Yeah, that's tough. I've seen a game do that before. I think it was like Eternal Return, which is actually another MOBA that is mostly Asian based.
It's a MOBA. It's kind of vaguely.
It's a battle royale kind of MOBA thing, whatever you want to call it. I actually really enjoyed that game, but I played 2v2s.
Looting was very confusing in that game.
Very confusing, but it was also like the core point of it. So if you didn't understand, like it is odd. But the character designs were really cool.
Yeah.
But I played 2v2s, and then they got rid of the 2v2 game mode and only made it like on the weekends at one point. And I was playing with my EU friend. That made it like impossible for us to play. But yeah.
Well, it's 2:02.
It is.
So it's time for one more question. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. It's been a fun day of Q&A. Tomorrow is the update. Please tune in, or don't tune in, because we aren't going to be...
Tune into the game.
Tune into the game. Yeah, log in, play some games tomorrow. Let us know how you're feeling about it.
So not being one of the questions, I just saw it a few times, and it's one of the ones where like it's a good point of like don't really have the greatest answer, but Calaman for the assault map and the game mode was added 8 months ago. It'll get updates, so it can get updated. There's just a lot more things that are currently on the priority list right now. So like the answer just not a very satisfying one. It's like it'll come when it can come, but it's just not going to be in the short term at all. And that's not my question.
That's not your question.
That's a bonus question.
Fine.
I mean, it could be.
Thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun. Wow. Thanks for the positive reactions. What's Manny's main conquest role? That's a good question. I'm going to pick a question for you because I feel lazy today.
Okay.
How is Runic Hammer doing? I see no one building it, not even Kabrakan, who would probably want it the most.
Funnily enough, I was just looking at the item stats, and I hadn't looked at it yet. I was like, it was just like there on the other screen. Actually, wait. Like, tingles in my memory. I think... I looked at the bottom of the list because I was looking for Necronomicon, and Runic Hammer was doing worse in casuals than it was in ranked, which is totally understandable. Yeah. Could it use some buffs? Yes, but it's also one of the ones like, okay, we're currently riding this like solo lane high right now.
Yeah,
it's like,
and more free damage for solo laners is always a scary thing.
I think it could use a buff, yes, but I don't think I would even like do it right now. This isn't the climate for a Runic Hammer buff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Oh, Alani check real quick before we take your last question. I have a cherry twist today.
And I went for the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
No tea this time. I did break my mug. I was very sad.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I got a new one. Or like I brought in a new one. It's got a panda on it.
Well,
it was my fault. It was really dumb. I was just like shaking it clean, and I just went like this too hard, and I just smashed it against the sink. I'm like, who does that? Like this is such a childish mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I broke a Well, I didn't. My wife broke a mug the other day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like from Graceland.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like a collectible mug.
Oh
but,
no!
you know,
All right, now you have to take another trip to Graceland.
I know, which isn't actually too far from us.
Oh really?
It's in Memphis. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
I'm not like a huge Elvis guy, but it was just like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in the vicinity, you should.
You should go check it out for
Graceland.
sure. I guess another question, huh?
Yeah, you got to pick one.
All right, give me another gameplay related question, guys.
No, wait. Why are people saying? Is Isaiah here? People are saying, "Welcome, Isaiah."
Did I miss it?
I don't know. Oh,
Isaiah
I'm
Sage!
late, but happy 1 year of Titan Talk. Hope y'all are doing well.
Hey!
Hey, Isaiah, we miss you too. Hopefully you're doing well.
Everybody.
You said you were going to come have lunch sometime, so let us know if you ever want to come down to the studio and have lunch. We miss you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and our 1 year anniversary of the show was the 4th, I believe. So over the weekend, I think was the 1 year
Wow,
anniversary
that's
of
crazy.
Titan
We were
Talk.
just
So
talking
yes, we didn't do a special 1 year show, but
Oh,
yeah, we've been
that's
doing this
so
for a
cool.
year now, so it's been fun.
Isaiah, did you see we got Smite Cart in the game? We did it. We did it. Okay. Slayer, how are jungle buffs looking? In what way? Like in terms of like their strength? We can talk about that one some more because I'm kind of curious. But
You got to pick a question. Last question.
oh god, strength. I mean that's a really good question. It just ends up being one of the tougher ones, to be honest. Like how would we address the strength, not necessarily literal like physical power of the jungle buffs? I would probably say that
I've heard purple buff in particular can be very game changing at the high levels.
purple buff, yeah, I've heard like mixed things about red buff. For some people, like, you know, it can be game breaking earlier, depend on the right person, versus it being kind of like mediocre to later on. Even though it's one of them that's like kind of showing you gaining damage because of the damage procs. Speed buff is obviously, you know, there's a discussion between moving the healing component on that to the starter items. Blue buff being kind of mediocre. There's a world where we can kind of play around with the buffs some more in terms of their actual strength compared to one another, to each other, especially with the infamy system. I would argue that it's actually, I wouldn't think any of them are terrible, and that's kind of the, you know, like none of them are too terrible, none of them are too OP, and that's been okay for us right now. Could they use more balance than that? Yeah, I think that's totally a fair kind of point to look at, or maybe play around with what they do a little bit more. I want to be careful about how many times we kind of just change what jungle buffs do, because learning that system and on top of infamy can get very confusing. That being said, if we just have like a, you know, a really good idea, we're not going to not do it. But I think, yeah, I mean, hearing from you guys is super good. So what you're mentioning, purple and speed are volatile early and red is super strong late. Sure, I think that's totally fair. I think, you know, blue could potentially use some love. I think that's an interesting opportunity to look for changes. It's one that's just extremely invisible, but also generally shared from both teams. So if one of the buffs is stronger, for the most part, it's stronger for everyone. Obviously, much more nuanced than that, but I think that's a good opportunity to look at for some more. So good shout out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
Thank you for a day of design-focused Q&A.
Fun as usual.
And remember to log in tomorrow.
Yes.
Play some games. Check out Osiris and Loki Aspect and new match lobby.
So
and
Loki Aspect will be dropping on day one?
Yes, it will be.
Excellent.
Because the old one was going away,
No,
so
it
it just
makes
kind of felt
sense.
awkward to not. So yeah, all sorts of good stuff coming out tomorrow. So log in, check out the game, and we will see you on the battleground. Got to find the button of the gods. Bye-bye.